What happens when crimes go unpunished?
It shouldn't be this hard to keep someone off the street.
Victims caught in the crossfire.
She just slowly deteriorated because of the injuries.
I think that it is likely that he would come back and try to finish what he did before.
The intersection between compassion and accountability.
The idea that this could all just be dismissed and he could be allowed to walk away is unacceptable.
And a battle between elected leaders brewing.
That's the governor's signature.
I fully support improving that law, but at the same time, it should never be used as an excuse.
Let's make sure nothing like this ever happens again.
Now, a Denver7 Investigates special report, The Complexity of Competency. Here's investigative reporter Natalie Chuck.
Thanks so much for joining us. Words carry weight, especially the words written into our laws. For more than a year now, our investigative team here at Denver7 has brought attention to one of Colorado's laws that changed in 2024. Specifically, one word that judges say is tying their hands. The change now requires judges dismiss charges against criminal suspects who are found permanently mentally unfit to stand trial, no matter how serious the crime. The fallout means cases, one after another, are being thrown out, and the accused criminals face no consequences. And as we found, some of them are being released right back into your neighborhoods. Over the next half hour, we are going to introduce you to Coloradans who say they were victims of Ross McPherson, of Guillermo Ramirez, of Solomon Galligan, and of other suspects who were found unfit to stand trial. Our investigation starts with a single email from one man asking our team for some help.
I'm getting home late.
Most of us spend a lot of time at work.
This is my office, Academy Park Family Practice.
And this office, Dr. Scott Green's office for the last 25 years.
This is where I belong.
This is the last place he thought his life could be cut short.
I heard a struggle up front and my receptionist called my name.
What follows is outlined in this arrest affidavit. Details of a targeted attack. A man tells the receptionist, "I'm only here for Scott."
I'm not here for you.
Also in the affidavit, details about a man struggling with severe mental health issues.
He turned and approached me and backed me, I guess, into this doorway. He stabbed me with a large knife that should have been fatal.
Ross McPherson, 28 at the time, was arrested nearly a week later, charged with multiple crimes, including attempted first-degree murder. Scott believed the justice system would take care of the rest.
He would go to trial, and he would get the sentence that was appropriate.
But none of that is happening. Court records show Ross McPherson is incompetent. 2 years after the crime, it was decided he would never be fit to stand trial because of his mental health. Previously, state statute said the court may dismiss the defendant's case if the defendant is found incompetent to proceed. But as of July 2024, the word may changed to shall, meaning a judge has to dismiss charges in cases like this.
Let's go ahead and get on the record.
Inside a Jefferson County courtroom, a judge, the defense, prosecutors, and Scott all grappled with the reality that the man accused of stabbing him could be released back into the community.
If he's out, and I think that it is likely that he would come back and try to finish what he did before.
The court will order the case dismissed.
Even though charges were dismissed, there is an alternative to keep him off the streets. McPherson was involuntarily committed to the state's mental health hospital through a civil court process with the goal of getting him mental health treatment. But it's something that only happened after Denver7 Investigates started asking questions.
We only saw a commitment option that was appropriate at the state hospital, frankly, once you all turned your lens to this situation.
District Attorney Alexis King says this is the first time her office has had to prosecute a case like this, impacted by this amended law.
What we have is an insufficient structure that is unfunded, and it's really abdicating responsibility and sending it back to us to deal with a huge community safety risk.
She was the first district attorney to sound the alarm over this law, but soon more followed. because the cases kept coming and victims kept reaching out to Denver7. Moments. Caught on camera. Christmas. Birthdays, Halloween.
Where's my treat? That's my treat.
For Joseph and Billy Joe Bowman, cameras have captured the best days and the worst.
One person is dead after a fiery crash this morning in Golden.
It has been a nonstop nightmare.
Investigators say Guillermo Ramirez sped through a red light on Highway 6, going more than 100 miles per hour. The car hitting an SUV that burst into flames. According to these arrest documents, Ramirez's toxicology report on December 17, 2021, the day of the crash, revealed drugs in his system, plus a blood alcohol level of 0.225. Ramirez was only 18 years old at the time.
I didn't have enough time to react. All I could do was scream, and then he hit us.
The Bowman's mom, 66-year-old Neely, and 24-year-old Bricia Leon both died from their injuries from the crash.
She was the most warm, sincere, giving, loving person that you'd ever meet.
She was fearless. You know, she was a single mom. She had to be.
The months after the crash left the siblings severely burned, and their mom much different than before. Instead of holidays, cameras captured hospital visits.
Oh, you're not gonna roll. You're okay. They got the brakes on.
Neely suffered third-degree burns, multiple fractures, and eventually had her leg amputated.
She was going to be okay, but then she just slowly deteriorated because of the injuries from the accident.
About 9 months later, Neely died.
She was literally tortured for the last 9 months of her life.
State doctors found that because of his mental state, Ramirez is not and might never be fit to stand trial.
The idea that this could all just be dismissed and he could be allowed to walk away is unacceptable.
The judge dismissed his case despite a fight from prosecutors.
It's not common for us to challenge a doctor's report finding somebody competent or incompetent.
Allie Brady was one of the prosecutors on this case. Ramirez has had multiple interactions with law enforcement since the crash, allegedly fighting in public and violating protection orders. Transcripts obtained by Denver7 Investigates show the lengths prosecutors went to poking holes in one of the doctor's opinions about Ramirez's ability to stand trial.
There are no clear and consistent standards for the factors that evaluators should be considering in evaluation.
Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, but the judge made it clear that this decision is a bitter pill to swallow, saying to everyone, "I have the unenviable job of dismissing the case, even though everything in my head and my heart says the opposite."
It is a sickening position to be in because I do not care about him. I want him to be in a cage where he belongs. But in order to do that, we are forced to advocate for the fact that he is getting inadequate care.
In your opinion, is he gaming the system or is the state's system failing?
Both.
I think both.
I think it's fair for the community to be concerned that this man is released back into the community.
And we were there when Ramirez left the courthouse. Do you agree with the findings that you're incompetent? You don't want to make any comment? Any comment you want to say? After hearing the family speak up there? He would not answer any of our questions.
He might be mentally ill, but he's still very capable. He made these decisions that changed our lives.
The Bowmans and Dr. Scott Green are just a few of more than a half dozen victims who tell us how disappointed they are with the recent change to the justice system. We also met a sister, her brother nearly beaten to death.
We never expected that our law enforcement was not going to be able to hold somebody accountable for doing something so terribly wrong.
A father, his little boy nearly kidnapped from a playground.
Everybody's hands are tied in this situation as far as dropping the charges are concerned.
And a grieving family. A man was murdered in front of his house, and the accused killer reportedly called 911 himself to confess.
It's a open and closed case. It's done. The guy turned in the weapon, admitted it, it's over with. So I thought, okay, justice will be served. I was wrong. So was my family, and we'll never be right again.
So how did we get here? Why did lawmakers change this statute in the first place? And the biggest question for these victims, is more change coming?
When we come back, sitting down with the lawmaker who pushed for this change.
Well, it doesn't really matter how long you're sitting in jail, you're not getting help.
Plus,
it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a prosecutor that our hands are tied.
the growing calls for reform.
When we started covering the change to Colorado's competency law requiring judges dismiss criminal cases, we knew it would have a big impact. We just didn't know how big or how long it would take for anyone else to notice. But after a couple of cases made national headlines, district attorneys across the state came forward, insisting lawmakers reassess. Sitting down for the first time since becoming the center of national headlines.
I'm the district attorney for the 18th Judicial District.
DA Amy Patton is addressing concerns we've heard from community members. What do you think and feel when you do hear that there are people we're talking to who say, we want to see our DA fight harder?
I listen to that. I'm an elected official, and I will take that into account.
We've listened to parents, neighbors, and other politicians calling for change after learning charges will be dropped against a suspect, Solomon Galligan, accused of trying to kidnap a boy during recess in Aurora.
I would say I share that frustration, but I don't think that frustration is appropriately addressed at my office. It's at the system.
A system other top prosecutors agree is failing.
The idea that the person can still be released back into the general community without treatment, without medication, and without justice in the criminal case, I think we're failing the community until we improve that system.
Michael Doherty is the district attorney representing Boulder County. He is no stranger to defendants dealing with incompetency, having just wrapped up the trial against the King super shooter.
He is going to continue to have a get-out-of-jail-free card. That's what this law is.
Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke spoke out against the law after a suspect was released from jail when his charges were dismissed. Colorado's Governor Jared Polis responded to what happened on social media, calling it, quote, unacceptable, and insisting the DA remove this threat now.
I'll tell you what my response is to the governor's post. It is completely inaccurate.
Denver7 pressed the governor about the law that he signed.
I fully support improving that law, but at the same time, it should never be used as an excuse for releasing somebody who is dangerous.
It shouldn't be this hard to keep someone off the street who everyone in that courtroom perceives as a risk to community safety.
And Jefferson County District Attorney Alexis King, adding to the chorus of frustrated officials.
I'm really troubled by the nature of the statute.
Keeping someone in jail who is not facing any charges is not an option.
You cannot just hold somebody in jail for the rest of their life if they're not able to stand trial.
But sometimes keeping them in a state hospital to get the mental health treatment they need is, which State Senator Judy Amabile says was the bill's intention. Critics of the bill, though, note no additional funding for the state's mental health care system passed when the law changed. What is your response to that critique?
Yeah, we would have liked for there to be funding, and we originally did have funding in it, but we understood that the bill wouldn't get passed. What I, of course, would like to see is that if you've committed a serious crime, that you are then given a placement in a state hospital or in a contract hospital to get the mental health care that you need.
That's easier said than done. Colorado's mental health care system has long been overwhelmed. In fact, in 2019, the state's Department of Human Services entered into a consent decree, an order from the federal government to address long wait times for court-ordered competency services. Plus, most defendants do not meet the criteria for forcible commitment to state-run mental health hospitals.
We're watching now as this brand new bill is playing out. We're seeing where some of the potential gaps could be.
Leora Joseph is the director of the state's Office of Civil and Forensic Mental Health. She admits that this law needs more work to prevent potentially dangerous criminals from slipping through the cracks.
It has great intention to be able to bridge that gap between the forensic, the criminal justice system, and the civil system. That's an important mechanism. The question is, now what?
Next, what lies ahead in the legislature?
I am finally getting a sense of reassurance from these folks, and it is a healing thing.
Plus,
Is this your first time seeing the car?
This is my first time seeing it since the day we were hit.
So now what? More than a year after this law change took effect, and after more than a half dozen cases that we know of have been dismissed, where do we go from here? The victims in the stories we've told you about are taking matters into their own hands by taking their concerns straight to the state's top politicians. Here is a picture we were given from an October meeting between Governor Jared Polis and victims we've told you about, the Bowmans and Dante White. You might remember these two cases. The Bowmans survived that deadly crash in Golden. The case against the man accused of driving drunk was eventually thrown out. Then Dante White's son was on the playground at school in Aurora when this happened. You can see this video of the attempted kidnapping during recess at an elementary school. The suspect in this case also had their charges dropped. White's been vocal about his frustrations with this state law. All of these victims met with the governor to talk about what changes can be made and when.
I am finally getting a sense of reassurance from these folks, and it is a healing thing. It makes you feel a little lighter, and it makes you feel like you can stop running around frantically trying to get anyone and everyone to listen to you, and you feel less like you are screaming into the void.
Why do you think that he's having this meeting with you all now?
I mean, there's a lot of different things, right? Like we've been steadfast in the way that we've approached this, right? There's been plenty of media attention, thanks to, your efforts and other people's efforts and the victims and stuff like that. It's definitely on everybody's lips. It's definitely on everybody's mind.
In a statement, the governor told us in part, "I am doing everything I can to drive all parties to improve this process through legislation as soon as possible." He says that includes directing state agencies that individuals who are a danger to themselves and others are not released into the community.
No trial, no justice, no accountability.
The cries for change are growing louder. Throughout the year, the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network hosted several meetings demanding lawmakers do something about the competency law, typically backed by other victims, advocates, and Republican politicians.
We are going to be delivering nearly 6,000 signatures.
The nonprofit even gathering signatures, encouraging the governor to take immediate action.
In 2024, I actually voted for this bill.
Republican State Senator Barbara Kirkmeyer, who is running for governor, now claims she was sold a bill of goods.
We were told that these individuals that committed these horrendous crimes would either be in a correctional facility or that they would be committed to an institution. Unfortunately, that is not what's going on with this law.
At the time that the bill was being passed, were you concerned at all that there's not going to be space for these individuals? There's not going to be facilities for them to go to?
I would say, honestly, at that time, I was not aware that there was a 360-bed wait list. I don't think anybody foresaw how this law was going to be interpreted and how it was going to be implemented.
Victims we've spoken with before also showed up to these public displays of frustration.
I am cautiously optimistic. I'm glad that there's more momentum on it. I'm afraid every day of more cases popping up.
While their sights are set on getting lawmakers to address the current statute, the Bowmans also continue healing from that traumatic car wreck. With the case and court hearings behind them, it's now time to move forward. Sometimes that means facing your fears. And we were there alongside them as they took one big step toward closure.
Those are my mom's shoes.
It's almost like a time capsule.
Because she had arthritis in her hips really bad.
Memories from a day no one really wants to remember.
There are little remnants of our just like day-to-day life in this vehicle still.
A life that will never look the same after what happened more than 4 years ago. Is this your first time seeing the car?
This is my first time seeing it since the day we were hit.
Parked in a lot in Jefferson County.
This is the most physical indicator of the harm that he caused outside of my mother's dead body in a casket.
A reminder for Joseph and Billy Joe Bowman of what they lost on December 17th, 2021.
Today she would have been 70 years old. This is her birthday today. And we're here doing this.
Months after the case against the man accused of causing the car crash that killed their mother and another woman was thrown out, the siblings are here, facing the horror of that morning head on.
Mom was rolling around in the middle of Colfax screaming, "I'm on fire, I'm on fire." And I crawled back inside and I got that Blue thing is a travel pillow and blanket for camping that we kept in here in case of emergencies, and I climbed back in to get it so that I could beat the fire off of her. In that moment, I very fearfully accepted that I was going to die.
Instead, the siblings lived through it, survived only to endure the pain of watching the accused drunk driver who hit them walk free.
I was placed in the sickening position of having to advocate for Guillermo Ramirez in court and say he's not being seen enough, he's not getting adequate treatment, they're not treating this case like a priority, and having to advocate for your mother's murderer to get better mental health treatment is just infuriating.
It's too late for the Bowmans to get what they consider justice, but it's not too late for them to look ahead, keeping their eyes on the fuse for change this tragedy might have sparked.
This is the license plate from the back of the vehicle. And I asked if I could take this home with me, and they said that I could.
Why is it important for you to hang on to this?
Because I want a physical reminder of what happened. It's not to be morbid, it's not to re-traumatize myself, it's to, I don't know, to have a memento from this moment and to show that we survived and we made it to the other side.
On the other side of this is potential for change to this law that might help the victims we've met find some comfort knowing their voices were heard. The potential to address ongoing cracks in what many call Colorado's broken mental health care system. But only time will tell. A reminder, all of this started because someone with a problem sent us an email, so don't hesitate to reach out. You can contact Denver7 Investigates anytime at the number on your screen or by sending us an email at investigates@denver7.com. From all of us here at Denver7 Investigates, thanks for joining us, covering the complexity of competency.
I'm really thankful that you're taking the time to do this, because I think what needs to be done is there needs to be some awareness of this so that this can be addressed and corrected.
Can we all just work together and make something happen before it's too late?
You know, thanks to you connecting me with other victims of the competency statute has been great.
We only saw a commitment option that was appropriate at the state hospital, frankly, once you all turned your lens to this situation.